Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
The Michigan governor defending her controversial decisions on nursing homes in a battle that seems far from finished.
The Local 4 defenders learning more about the man charged today in the killing of a local professional poker player. But we begin here at 6 with new information coming to light in a murder case that's made national headlines.
Yeah, Susie Zhao was found dead last month at the Pontiac Lake Recreation Center. 60-year-old Jeffrey Morris was arrested and today formally charged with her murder. Defender Sean Lay live in Pontiac with what we've learned about Morris's criminal history and what happened before the murder. Sean?
And that's one of the key questions. How does a professional poker player who was living in L.A. know a man who was staying temporarily here on this street in Pontiac? Our sources telling us tonight the two met up at a motel the night before the murder. Hours later, Susie Zhao's body was found burned in a nearby park.
Calling People versus Jeffrey Bernard Morris.
Jeffrey Bernard Morris, a 60-year-old from Pontiac, arraigned late today. As you can see, Morris is in the hospital after having a medical issue earlier in the day. The charge he is facing, the premeditated murder of Susie Zhao. The details, horrifying. July 13th, the 33-year-old's body was found burned at the Pontiac Lake Recreation Center. In court, we learned Morris has a long history of violent crimes.
The court is satisfied that there should not be a bond in this matter. The court is going to deny bond.
Here's what we know. Once Zhao's remains were identified, the mystery deepened. Zhao was a professional poker player living in L.A. Investigators had to consider if that had anything to do with her murder. Tonight, sources telling the defenders poker likely was not a factor. We are told when life got difficult for Zhao, it was common for her to come home to her mother's home in the Waterford area. The night before her remains were found, sources tell us, Zhao met Jeffrey Morris at an area motel. It's believed Zhao's cell records put Morris on investigators' radar. White Lake Township Police and an FBI task force tracked Morris and arrested him last Friday. A husband and wife in Pontiac felt bad for Morris and took him in, but says he was violent, so they kicked him out.
That's sick, man. Sick individual to do something like that to a poor innocent person like that. That's really sick.
I've had nightmares last night. I'm just scared to death that they were going to let him out. I'm just glad he's off the streets. Thank you.
Back here live, that couple wants to make it clear they had nothing to do with this guy. They took him in for a bit and then kicked him out when they say he got violent. Guys, here's what we learned about Morris. On probation right now for retail fraud, recent convictions for larceny, destruction of a building, domestic violence, failure to comply with sex offender reporting duties. Let's go all the way back to 1988. A charge of criminal sexual conduct, a drug conviction in 1980, assault with intent to rob while armed. He currently has a warrant out for his arrest for a DUI in Florida. Held tonight without bond. Exact motive still being worked on, I am told. Police will brief us officially on this tomorrow morning. Back to you.
That is a thick file. All right, Sean.
All right, well, you've got just about 2 hours left to get to your polling place to vote in today's primary election. The polls close at 8, but as always, if you're there by 8 and you're in line, you can still cast your ballot. This, of course, is a very different election day than we've ever seen. Consumer investigator Hank Winchester has been tracking how things are going with all the new safety precautions. Hi, Hank, good evening.
Kimberly, good evening to you. Different indeed, because most people making their way inside wearing a mask, although not required. They are available inside most precincts as you vote today. Hand sanitizer everywhere. And because of the huge number of people who have voted absentee today, as I met with Secretary Benson, she's saying don't expect election results coming in tonight as the polls close. Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson could have never predicted a primary election day like today.
People are voting in person, but when they show up, you see not a lot of crowds, not a lot of lines, and a lot of protocol in place, people wearing masks, gloves, and hand sanitizer to make sure that everything's going smoothly and no one has to risk their health in order to vote today.
She's not only focused on making sure you can cast your vote, but that you can also do it safely. Masks are available, hand sanitizer in place. Even politicians who would normally be out shaking hands now having to keep a safe distance.
We've provided PPE for all election workers all across the state and every jurisdiction, and extra masks on hand for voters who might show up without one. But by and large, people are masking up and respecting their need to do what's right to protect their health and safety and the health and safety of others. So that's been great to see.
The turnout for in-person voting, a tad light. That's not unusual during a primary election. However, the number of absentee voters unprecedented. More than 2 million so far. And remember, those ballots can't be opened until today. So expect a delay for results.
Any results that come forward on a Wednesday or Thursday are only a reflection of the hard work we're doing to prioritize accuracy and security, and then also ensure we can deliver those results as efficient as possible.
Back out here live, we did hear from many viewers reporting some issues at different Detroit locations this morning. The main issue was that some places that were open for voting just weren't stocked and didn't have the proper equipment or the proper employees on hand, those working the polls to take your vote. There were a few issues that have now been resolved. For the most part, the Secretary believes that if you still want to cast your vote, there should not be an issue, and the polls remain open here in Michigan until 8 o'clock tonight. We're live in Royal Oak. Hank Winchester, help me, Hank.
Okay, Hank, thanks for that report. And remember that anyone who voted absentee, you can track your ballot online. We've put a link to that on the Decision 2020 page of our website. Just go to clickondetroit.com, and that's also where you'll find results of all the primary races just as soon as they are available.
Shake-up in the management ranks at Ford Motor Company. Today, the automaker announced its president and CEO, Jim Hackett, is retiring. Former head of the Steelcase furniture maker has held the post since 2017. He will be succeeded by Jim Farley, who's currently Ford's chief operating officer and who joined Ford back in 2007 after working with Toyota. Farley will become CEO effective October 1st. Hackett is going to remain with Ford through next year as a special advisor. Now, General Motors appears to have adopted a scorched earth policy when it comes to its lawsuit against Fiat Chrysler. A judge recently dismissed a racketeering claim. Well, GM is unrelenting, now asking the judge to reconsider. Business editor Rod Maloney live tonight with more on this. And Rod, GM is saying that there's new evidence that's emerged in this case.
Right, which is one of the few reasons they could actually get this thing reconsidered. And it reads very much like something you'd have in a novel sitting on the beach this summer. It is a thriller. They're talking about naming names, big names, well-known names, millions of dollars in cash stashed away in foreign bank accounts, and boardroom intrigue. And it is something to behold. GM starts its new court filing with drama, saying, quote, bribes were paid to individuals working within GM, who then stashed them in secret overseas accounts containing millions of dollars in countries such as Switzerland, Luxembourg, Liechtenstein, Italy, Singapore, the Cayman Islands, and others. GM names former UAW Vice President Joe Ashton, who has already pled guilty in the current scandal, first and foremost. They say he took bribes while negotiating national contracts to specifically prevent GM from getting benefits that FCA received in those very same talks. It even provides a graphic to show the losses that it took. GM also claims while Ashton sat as the UAW's member on the General Motors board that he acted as a paid mole, giving GM proprietary information to FCA. GM goes on to say it was former UAW President Dennis Williams who put Ashton up to all of this. But then General Motors brought in the name of the long-retired former UAW President Ron Gettelfinger, who has not to date been involved in any of this roiling scandal. The complaint reads, quote, the payoffs through these foreign accounts to Ron Gettelfinger, Ashton, and Williams further confirm the control that FCA exercised over the UAW, end quote. The UAW responded with its own statement, quote, the UAW is unaware of any allegations regarding illicit offshore accounts, nor has the U.S. Attorney's Office or anyone else ever raised this type of allegation with the UAW. Now, late this afternoon, Ron Gettelfinger put out a letter where he said that he and his family have never taken a dime or been paid a dime out of a foreign account the way General Motors is talking about. He feels that they've defamed him and that he threatened in his note a lawsuit. We'll have that on clickondetroit.com. In the meantime, FCA says this entire lawsuit is baseless. Reporting live, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
All right, Rod.
All right, let's take a look at today's top coronavirus headlines in Michigan. The state is reporting 664 new cases. That's up 60 from yesterday. And sadly, 8 more people have died from the virus in our state. More than 100 teenagers in Oakland, Livingston, and Genesee counties have tested positive since mid-July, with some of the cases linked to large gatherings such as graduation parties. Governor Whitmer today issued a new executive order directing state agencies to review the way they allocate resources to prioritize enforcement of safety rules such as the mask mandate and building capacity limits.
Let's check in at the White House here quickly as President Trump is holding a briefing as he has been doing on a daily basis. Let's check in for just a few moments.
Monitoring the situation very closely. We have the military on guard, but we have FEMA is there in all cases. Corps of Engineers is ready if needed. The Army Corps of Engineers, very talented people. I urge everyone in the storm's path to remain alert and to follow the guidance of your state and local authorities. I now want to update you on the path forward having to do with the China virus. Before I do that, I want to give you some numbers, which are rather spectacular.
We will continue to follow this in the newsroom, and we will stream it for you at clickondetroit.com. President obviously starting there with preparations for the tropical storm making its way up the East Coast. More on NBC Nightly News coming up at 6:30 here with Lester Holt as well. The statistics are grim. More than 2,000 of the COVID-19 deaths in Michigan have occurred in nursing homes, and that puts Michigan in or near the top 10 in the nation in nursing home fatalities. And yet when I talked to the governor about that today, she pushed back on my suggestion that Michigan had handled the virus badly when it comes to nursing homes.
Devin, I think that I would challenge you on that statement that you just made. That is not the case. Our experience in nursing homes has been very similar to other states. In fact, we're in a stronger position than a lot of other states.
We haven't really done any better. Proportionately, we've done worse.
State Senator Pete Lucido sees it quite differently. He's the one who brought forth the bill the governor vetoed. It would require nursing homes that take in COVID patients to have a separate building or facility to accommodate them. In a very polarized time in Lansing, it was noteworthy that the bill had some Democratic support, even though the governor described it as purely political.
If you look at what happened in states that did precisely what this bill requires, it was a catastrophe in a lot of places, and it's why we didn't pursue it here. We did look into it. We researched it.
Many have wondered about those temporary hospitals that were hustled together. The governor seemed to tell me that that effort wasn't worth much.
Some suggested why not use TCF as a separate facility. Bathrooms were hundreds of yards away from where the beds were. That would never work in a care setting where you have seniors who are compromised and dealing with a number of vulnerabilities.
So now what? Might there be an override of the governor's veto?
Well, I think that it would be a huge mistake, and I don't believe that that is a real threat.
We need a veto override. We need it now. We can't wait. And to wait for a work group to work what? We have to isolate like the other states did, change our course and direction, and give those seniors and those most vulnerable with the compromised immune syndrome the greatest chance they can to live.
Even in the face of those 2,000 deaths, the governor has been steadfast in her answer to her critics that science is her only guide.
Every decision has been informed by the best science, and it was the CDC policies that we were following in the beginning when everyone was trying to figure out what to do in this situation.
Now, Senator Lucido does give the governor credit for decisions that he believes have helped the state flatten the curve. But on this nursing home matter, he believes she and the state would benefit from a more inclusive approach.
All right. Well, our streak of rainy days is hit 4. Ben, we were begging for it. We got it. And now we want some sun. We're never satisfied.
Yeah, it's always something. But you're right. Umbrellas again tonight. We're almost done with the showers for looks like a while. We'll look at our next dry stretch coming up.
A local woman was simply just driving home on Thursday night when something horrible happened.
I feel completely lucky. I had apparently guardian angels.
You could still see where the car entered the swamp, what happened, and the heroes who saved her life. Next on Local 4.